Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2. Hi. Action. Bollocks. Hi everyone, and welcome to this photo part 2. Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the photo review series on the channel where I talk and discuss about Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my photo review video series here on the channel. If you have not seen part 1, I do suggest you watch that first. However, let's get into this video and discuss the next 4 photographers and their portfolios, their bodies of work, some of the images that I find interesting on Instagram. So before we begin, I'll roll the intro and we'll get into the video. Now, just very quickly, I'd like to say welcome to the channel. My name is Frank. I'm a landscape photographer, and if you're interested in landscape photography, please do consider subscribing. It really does help. Leave a like or a comment. What do you think about the videos, and what do you think about the photo review series so far? Also, I'd like to say a big thank you to those photographers who are letting me critique their work today. I'll leave their Instagram handle scattered along the video so you guys can have a look at their Instagram while I'm reviewing their body of work. So without any further ado, let's begin with the first photographer. Janice Walters from Latvia, thank you very much. Instagram handle will be left in the top left. Instagram handle will be on the top left or right corner of the screen, so watch out for that. And do check Janice's work out on Instagram while I review her work right now. So the first 2 images that already caught my eye when I first came across Janice's channel, Janice's Instagram, was this photograph right here. And what I loved about this image right here was the fact that it wasn't too overly edited. And I like things that aren't too overly edited. I like things that are a little bit simpler. I like things that I thought the composition was quite nice. Of course, it was necessary in this case to crop out the rocks with the ice that had set over the rocks quite nicely. It was necessary. I think the cropping factor on this is very well. The next image that I loved was, of course, this photograph right here. And this photograph right here, what I loved about it was the fact that the snow is out of focus. And I love little details like that because you don't always have to photograph the landscape entirely. You can focus on very small aspects of the landscape, and I loved the perspective on this one. I loved the fact that it was on the ground and that it was a very low vantage point. I thought it worked well for this image in particular. Having a look at the feed itself, we have some very strong photographs here, some very good consideration to composition. That's the word I was looking for, composition. Especially with photographs like this one, even though you could argue that this photograph could have been edited differently. I disagree. I probably would have kept the editing exactly as it is. I'm not too sure about these little white marks here in the corner, but I like the curve that this whole, the sea, some curve here must have like from the sea into a river. Whatever the case, this image is very nice. But as a whole, we have a very nice consideration to composition, and I like it. I think that if I were to give a very professional opinion about this portfolio of work, and a conclusion, I guess you could say, to Janice's portfolio, is that this is the work of someone who isn't necessarily a 100% professional landscape photographer. Here we have, in my opinion, an amateur, but nonetheless a very strong amateur portfolio, and an amateur that I look forward to seeing more work in the future, because I can tell that this is on the way to being a very good landscape portfolio, if landscape is where Janice will want to take this work forward. Now, a big thanks to Johnny. Johnny, if you're watching this, awesome portfolio, man. I came across it. I think I was looking through like a long exposure hashtag of some kind. and I saw your work, and he's an awesome guy. I do highly recommend you guys checking him out. I'm gonna obviously leave his Instagram handle on the top right or top left, and I do suggest you look at his work while you're watching this video, because some of the stuff that he can produce is awesome. And just flicking down here, this to me is very, very professional, high standard landscape work. And it's not necessarily again sticking to the full landscape itself, because a lot of Johnny's work actually sticks with the 1:1 ratio that Instagram not necessarily requires you to do, but it's one of the things that you can choose when you upload a picture. You upload it as a square tile, and a lot of his work is uploaded as a square tile, and I think he has a very professional consideration to cropping. And one of the very strong images, the three images that I love with in Johnny's portfolio are these three images right here. This one of the waves crashing against the rocks, this one overlooking the tree with a very beautiful sort of like yellow sun in the background, just illuminating the back of the tree. And then finally this shot here in the corner, which is by far my favorite, and this overlooks the entire landscape. This doesn't stick to a 1:1 ratio, but overall I'd have to say that his portfolio is high class, man. This is some top stuff. This photograph, which is by far my favorite picture under Johnny's collection, purely because I love the abstraction, and I love the fact that in this case less is more, and that to me is a very, very strong image. I would love to see this in print. I think it's very, very good. I think he's paid incredible attention to detail with hardly anything, because if you actually think about it, this is just some fields with some snow and some sky, but the way that he shot it, the way that he's captured the curves, the consideration to the borders, that there's nothing obstructing it but just exactly what it is great. It's fantastic. I love watching things, photographs like this, because it makes me aspire to shoot more images like that. And as of late, I've been loving photographs that deal with less is more. Now, photographer number 3, the second to last photographer that we're going to be reviewing in this video goes by the name of Parker. Unfortunately, there is no first name on Parker's Instagram bio, so we're just going to go with Parker for now. Yeah, I found his work very interesting. Again, I wouldn't go as far as to say, in my complete professional opinion, that this is a professional landscape photographer, but having said that, this portfolio is so very close to being professional work. I'm seeing a lot of these images, and I'm seeing a lot of the graininess, a lot of the qualities that you'd find in film. It's so refreshing to see a photographer do something in such a different way. And what initially drew my attention to some of Parker's work was the fact that he can make a landscape, take portions of a landscape and turn them into something so alien, so strange, so weird, that they don't even look like they were taken on Earth. Let's take this image here, for example, right? This photograph is clearly a portion of a landscape, I believe, taken on film. As I could see the hashtags here on the side, Fujifilm, hashtag Fujilove, so on and so forth. So yeah, primarily film photography, but nonetheless, if you just focus on what this photograph is and just picture just that photograph and nothing else that was surrounding the surrounding mountains, the surrounding environment, it looks like he's pulled that off Mars, you know? It's so strange, it's so weird, and I love it. I love how awkward this image is. And of course he runs through this whole theme of the white borders, and in my complete opinion, I am not the biggest fan of the white border unless you stick with it fully. I've done the white border in some cases on my feed on some photographs, only when I believe it's absolutely necessary, and only when I feel that the white border can actually add to the image rather than take away. But in Parker's case, it adds all the time, which is fantastic, because it's not only his style, it's not only his way of presenting a piece of work, but it's also actually does it in quite a nice way. It's not distracting. It rather justifies the work that he's trying to do, which is awesome. This photograph, for example, is great. This is I think his Instagram. Yeah, it's his Instagram icon. It's the first image that you see. Again, it's very abstract, it's very alien, and I like that about that. It's a little bit more expressive, it's a little bit more artistic in nature. It doesn't solely focus on the landscape, but rather how the landscape interacts with colors, or the landscape interacts with several objects. Here we have the moon, for example, is perfectly, actually it probably is perfectly in dead center. You could cut a line straight through the middle of the photograph, and the moon would probably, you'd get two sides of the moon. You get one side of the moon on each side of the line, which is awesome. That thing just cuts straight through the middle, and it's beautifully, beautifully centered. Parker, well done for having such a unique portfolio, and for having something different that I haven't seen in a while. So cheers, and do check out his Instagram handle. Again, like I said, left I'm going to leave on the right or left on the top screen. And yeah, thank you so much, and stay tuned for his work. Now, the fourth and final review goes to a photographer by the name of Jose Quillon. Jose, thank you very much. I'm pretty sure, just judging by his Instagram bio, he's most probably a Spanish photographer or a Mexican photographer. But Jose, thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you in direct message. And thank you for allowing me to review your work. And I'd like to finish strong. And I say I like to finish strong because out of all of the photographers that we've seen, just judging by his Instagram portfolio, Jose's work is by far the most technically sound. Let me explain. Technically sound in that his portfolio clearly demonstrates the highest level of landscape technical abilities. He clearly, he has a lot of night photography, which is obviously very difficult because it's much harder as a landscape photographer to photograph at night than it is during the morning, early sunrise, or at sunset, or at any given point during the day. And I say that because of the loss of light. So his equipment needs to be very, very good. He needs to have a very good ISO setting. He needs to understand light very, very well. And Jose excels within that brilliantly. Out of all of the photographs that he has, this has to be the most artistic and the most technically sound photograph that there is. This photograph is wicked, wicked cool. Astrophotography in of itself is incredibly difficult to do because you're shooting a ton of pictures to just create one photograph, and it's not always going to come out the same. It's not always going to come out good, and it's certainly not always going to come out the way you want it to come out. Like I said, photographing at night is incredibly difficult, so for him to pull off a photograph like this is ace. Jose's work is, like I said previously, Jose's work is technically very, very good. However, I would have loved to have seen just a little bit more diversity, with images like this, for example. And images like this is the falling of the light, or sunset, sunrise, even photographs during the day. Something that's a little bit more artistic and a little bit more creative. Because what we're seeing, again, is a very strong understanding of the technical abilities of how to use a camera and of how to approach a landscape and composition, and it's all fantastic. But there is that slight loss of artistic expression which images like this bring back, and I love photographs like this because this to me is a lot more artistic, and it's kind of like it brings a nice breath of fresh air to his portfolio. Or you have something like this that is a hell of a lot more artistic in the way that he's approached the landscape and in the way that he's done it. So yeah, that is I'd say more photographs like this that show a little bit more artistic expression, I think, is where Jose will excel in future photographs. But aside from that, I have nothing but fantastic words for this photographer who has produced some marvelous photographs very good technical understanding, and actually I've learnt quite a bit just by looking at his photographs. So Jose, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing your work, and thank you to all those photographers who have allowed me to review their works. So yeah, that concludes part 2 of the photo review video series here on the channel. Please do leave a comment and a like. It really does help support me and grow as a content creator here on this platform. And I really do hope to do another part 3, so do let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this video so far. Thank you so much for sticking around, and till next time, guys. Peace.